And welcome back to the We'll Take It From Here podcast. Another week, another episode. However, first, we are going to bring you our show's sponsor, because this episode is brought to you by Honest Supplements. Now, Joe, what's Honest Supplements? Well, let me tell you. In a world that is plagued by new illness outbreak every other day, it's important to keep your body performing at its best with the right vitamins and supplements. However, these products can get expensive, especially with rising prices all around us. Honest Supplements has resolved that problem. They mark up all products by just $1, saving their members an average of 50% per product. Yes, that means that the protein you're paying $60 for is only $30 on their website. They have everything from vitamins, sports supplements, recovery, weight loss, CBD, and so much more. Timmy and I are both members and can advocate for the amount of money that you will save. And do we also mention that their all products are third-party lab tested? Because that's the only true way to prove vitamins and supplements actually contain the ingredients that they claim. Don't wait. Go to Honest Supplements right now to join today and start taking better care of your health. And it's right. If you train jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, or just in the gym, you better be taking Honest Supplements. So go to their website, guys. All right. Now it's time for the show. And we're back, folks, so we'll take it from here with Joe and Timmy. We'll take it from here, podcast episode 206. Really cool guest for you today, guys. I'm going to do a little introduction. I know I usually don't do stuff like that. We just get right into it, but I got some notes here for you. We got father, husband, and son, entrepreneur, born to immigrant parents from Argentina and Italy, a D1 soccer athlete for the Quinnipiac University, and founder, owner, CEO of Attain Physical Therapy. So welcome to the show, Dr. Matthew Cifelli, but obviously we're just going to go by Matt. So
yes,
welcome to the show, man. Thanks for coming on.
Anytime.
Absolutely.
Glad you're here.
So, folks, I tore my meniscus back in 2021, and thanks to my brother, shout out Nick, recommended Matt to me and went to physical therapy and was the best. And that's where we met. Dude, it's been a bit, long. But it's not been a bit. Like, it feels like it was just yesterday. I was there in the train in Berkeley Heights. It was pretty sick. But like I said, thanks for coming to the show. Now, I got some little notes here, right? We're going to shout out Attain here. And I'm pretty sure I got this accurate. So if I miss anything, just let me know.
Okay.
All right. So we have Attain Physical Therapy, some multi-state operation, headquartered in New Jersey, but you also have New York, Maryland, Florida, and Oregon.
Yes, we do.
Wow. Yep, which is amazing. You were the finalist for Emerging Businesses in New Jersey Businesses 2024 Business of the Year. You were featured in the fastest growing 5,000 entrepreneurial businesses of 2025 at 755 with 553% 3-year growth, which is insane. And you were
5,000 was big for us.
Yeah. And then you were also a finalist for the 2025 Entrepreneur of the Year for EY.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was a cool experience too.
Yeah, that's incredible, man. Congratulations, first of all. But you know what? I got to say, as much as I'm saying congrats and that's like amazing, I can see why. Because when I was there, the amount of care, the amount of attention to detail that I saw there, it makes sense. So that's great, man.
Attention to detail is everything.
Yeah.
If you don't have that, there's what's worth doing.
Yeah, no, that's very true. And I know there's something that your parents taught you to do something. When you want to do something, do it with your heart, right?
Absolutely.
And I think that has a huge effect on the rapid and increased success that you have it, because when you're taking everything from your heart, you are putting that attention to detail into it. You're putting your passion and soul into something. The results will come.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, one of the driving up here today, one of the questions I figured you'd ask me is, Matt, like, what's your one word? Mm-hmm. And you said it's passion. And the most recent podcast I was on, right? To me, the formula is simple, right? If you lead with that, results will come. Mm-hmm. Much like you guys are doing here.
Yeah.
You started out of a basement, right? I started Attain out of an office conceptually, and then you kind of start laying one brick down at a time and figuring out what you need to do. we'll get into the story, but the toughest part about Attain when we started laying bricks down was I wasn't planning for a pandemic. Nobody was.
I don't think anyone was.
Right? At that point in my life, at the transition of 19 into 20, I was planning for a child to come into the world. But then you got a hard 12-6 curveball come and a pandemic hits. Mm-hmm. So that was really, really, really challenging times, which we'll get into.
For sure. I definitely want to know how you fought that, and fought's not the right word. How you confronted it and persevered through that, because that's got to be something where, oh yes, everything's going great. Let's go. This is a new venture. I can't wait. And then boom. But before we get into that, let's go back a little bit. Who's Matt? Like, how did you get into physical therapy? I know that you sort of manifested it in fourth grade by writing that you wanted to become a physical therapist. And now look where you are.
Fourth grade.
Wow. Yeah, it was when my mom was cleaning up the house to prepare to move. She found a yearbook. Back then, the way they bound them was like this plastic spiral bound thing. Oh, God. And she's like, go find your picture on page whatever it was. And I found it, and I remember the picture vividly. And she's like, look, what do you want to be when you grow up? She says, look at it, read it. It said sports physical therapist back then.
Yeah. So I didn't even know what that was in fourth grade.
If people have followed me a little bit, they know that I do like speaking and speaking to various groups. Often just the nature of the proximity of where we live to Montclair State. I speak to a lot of the students there, both at the graduate level and undergraduate level. And what I talk about and the story I give, they're like, were your parents tough on you? Did they hit you? Did they infuse certain things into your life? And no, it's natural, right? It's in fourth grade, I had an idea of what I wanted to do and saw that journey through from start to finish.
So with that, did you always know you wanted to be an entrepreneur, or did you think you would just move your way up into someone else's business?
Watching my parents do it, right, and be in the restaurant space, different than healthcare, but watching my parents do it, watching my dad put in the long hours, early, late, weekends. I've been around it since I could walk, right? In some of the stories I say, I've been forced at a very young age to go bring the cup of coffee to table 2, right? Bring the soup to table 6. So I always kind of knew, and even when I was trying to figure out where to take myself after high school do I go to business school or do I go to PT school? And my dad's like, listen, you learned a lot through us here. And then even when I got into PT school and decided to go that route, I was like, do I tack on another major, like a business degree? Mm-hmm. And he's like, don't waste the money, right? And at that time, more resources started coming out on social media and online, and you can kind of start to self-educate, which a lot of people do today.
Yeah.
And if you look at the decisions households are making about college in the future, is college even really worth it nowadays? Right?
That's a big talking point.
Well, the question is what major are you going for, and is that major worth getting a degree in?
Yes, right?
I
mean, I look at it now, doing what I do and being forced to make decisions morning, noon, and night. My daughter's 5.5 now. What's it going to be like 13 years from now when she's ready to go?
Yeah.
I don't know. It'll be very different. Very, very different.
Yeah. I do see that changing a little bit. Being in the entrepreneurship, are you familiar with like Frisella, Andy Frisella? He was talking about that. He's an entrepreneur too, and he was saying about how he used these words on his podcast, but it's like at some point college may become obsolete because it's the amount of stuff that you can learn online and depending on what you want to do. And the one thing that he actually, so you said business school and physical therapy school, and this is a question that just came to my mind right now. Those are two completely different things. You have a doctor and then you're running a business. Was that, I guess, what are the differences, I guess, that make those types of doctors who are successful like yourself in business? Like what are the key factors you need to complete to have a successful business? Because you could be a great physical therapist, not know how to run the business.
Yeah. Most do. Most have horrible business sense. Key factors to me is surround yourself with other like-minded people centered around business. So if you look at like my high school years, my early college years, I was thirsty for knowledge in so many different ways. And early on, one of the best jobs I ever had was caddying. I caddy at Montclair Golf Club. I started there at like almost 14 years old.
Yeah.
And you learn a lot. You learn a lot about the value of time, because at those days, it's very different now from what I understand. Those days, you've seen the movie Caddyshack.
Yeah.
So it was exactly that, right? We'd sit inside this small box called the Caddyshack, and you'd sit and wait to get called upon to go work. But I met so many different dynamic, good, bad, and even in between people that were involved in business at high levels, low levels, worked on Wall Street, worked in corporations, owned businesses that failed, and then they rebranded themselves all over again. But I think surrounding yourself with the right people that can challenge you, it's important to be challenged, and are going to force you to think, and in different realms of business, not just healthcare. Yeah. I surrounded myself with finance guys, real estate guys, pharmaceutical guys, and gals too along the way. I've learned a lot from women along the way too, in some of their challenges, kind of rising the ranks, being a female in the business space. They have it a lot harder than us.
Yeah.
But to me, growing your network of people, not just in the sector that you're trying to grow yourself in.
Okay. No, that makes, so basically being able to self-reflect at a certain point.
Absolutely.
Yeah. When you're saying challenge, so what are some like an example you can give of, because we always hear that it's like, oh, you need to be able to be challenged and have your thought process, let's call challenged, right? What are some examples of that? Like what are like an everyday example where you're being challenged to reflect upon what you're doing?
The challenge probably over the past 3 to 5 years has been finding talent, right? And early on, the main challenge early on in the Attain days, Joe, was I'm a brand new business. The world is falling apart. And my vision was to grow this concept, and to grow a concept, it can't just be me. It needs to be more than just me. And that goes to my definition of business. My definition of business early on was like a means to earn, right? It was always centered around the dollar figure. That changed over the years, where the definition of business was a platform for expression, right? And how you express yourself, whether it's through a podcast, through healthcare, through a cup of coffee. The pandemic provided challenges with a brand new concept to convince people that I got them for the ride. And what I was selling was my previous venture for 9.5 years that we grew in scale from a few employees to about 85 at our peak. And selling that hard and say, listen, I've never built a business, grown a business in a pandemic. I've done it in normal times. I'll figure out how to do it again. Trust me. And I was able to convince one young occupational therapist early on. And then things kind of start happening from there.
Yeah. Okay, interesting.
But that's the challenge. The challenge early on in Attain days was trying to convince people, whether early on in their career, midpoint in their career, that we'll figure this out. And we did.
Take the risk on me. I got you.
Take the risk on me.
So
I got you.
The first business, was that another physical therapy place?
Was another physical therapy business. But I go back even further to, Joe wants to talk about my early years. My first entrepreneurial experience was in 6th grade.
Nice. Love it.
This.
6th grade at Grover Cleveland Middle School in Caldwell. And back then, the Spice Girls were a hot thing.
Yeah.
All right? So my first business, my supplier was my dad.
Nice.
With Spice Girl lollipops.
Okay.
So I would have a box of Spice Girl lollipops. I'd show up to school with a brown paper bag filled. And I'd have a line at my locker selling Spice Girl lollipops for $1.50 a pop.
Amazing. Nice. What Spice Girl sold the best?
Probably Sporty Spice. Yeah, Sporty Spice back then. So yeah, that was my first memory of buying and selling and
that's so
selling to customers. And
so that was 6th grade. What is that, like 12, 10, something like that?
6th grade.
Probably 12-ish.
12, yeah.
Yeah, 12-ish.
So at that point, you already did some work in the restaurant, so you kind of understand what business was, and you're like, I got this.
I got this.
Supply and demand.
Supply and demand.
I see the opening in school.
Right, my supplier wanted nothing for the distribution, so I was 100% profit every time. My dad's like, listen, keep it.
Oh man, that was perfect.
Sixth grade.
Because he probably knew that what he was paying in lollipops was nothing compared to the education you were getting just from doing that business.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Right. I think another thing worth bringing up was just the value of money and experience. So my dad, I learned a lot about how he handled people. Mm-hmm. No matter what walk of life walked through his doors. If they were old in their 90s and had a couple pennies to scrape for a cup of coffee, or some of the giants would come into his office, to his restaurant back in the day, or the high-level Wall Street guys would come in for an egg special and then take the bus. I learned how he handled people. And around lunchtime, there was always a cluster of old women that would come from the church to have lunch, a cup of coffee and soup and a buttered roll, etc. And I would serve them.
Yeah.
One day he comes to grab me in the back, and he goes, "Go see the ladies on table, whatever it was. They want to talk to you." Mm-hmm. Like, okay. I go there and they embrace me and they said, "Matthew, this is for you." It was 25-cent coin.
Oh yeah.
It was a tip.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. I walk back. I take the quarter. I throw it on the ground in front of my dad. Grabs me, takes me to the back. "Don't you ever do that in front of my customers again."
Oh snap.
He goes, "It's not about the 25 cents. He goes, "It's not about the money. It's about how they feel, why they continue to come back here.
Sure.
And you need to understand that if there's things that you need in life, you come to me. Mm-hmm. But don't ever act like that in front of my customers again." And it made a lot of sense, 20 years later, that's not about that. And that's kind of how I handle people now. No matter if they got deep pockets, not deep pockets, you got people walking into the office and people that we serve that are in pain, that are vulnerable, and have a genuine need to get better and feel better. No different than you did in 2021.
Yeah, no, it was literally right when I got there, I knew that our first session, and when you were starting to do like work on me, I was like, oh, I'm going to be good. Because I remember I came in, I was like, all right. He's like, you were like right away, "Joe, what's your goal? Like how about getting back?" And I was like, I want to get back to jiu-jitsu as quickly as possible in the safest manner. And I remember I was doing like Google searches on these types of things. Everything was like, you'll be walking and jogging in 6 months. You looked at me and you're like, I'll get you back there. Not training hard, but I'll get you back there in 3.5 months. And sure as heck,
we hit those goals.
We hit those goals, right? In 3.5 months. I was back rolling, flow rolling, did a month and a half. I'm back 100%.
Absolutely.
So you were really focused and understanding what your clientele or patients needed and wants, and you delivered. So it definitely based off that, what you're saying, like it's about them coming back. It's about what the customer needs, what the patient needs. That's
it's about listening.
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 I was just about to say is I know a lot of the physical therapy realm too involves cookie cutter methods of like, oh, you come in, you got a knee thing, all right, this is what we do, and they probably even ask you what's your goal. And it's in it one ear out the other, and not actually applying to what you're saying. It sounds like, from your experience, Joe, obviously I wasn't there, but you actually took that and actually did the goal and were pursuing it, and not just taking it just so they felt heard.
Yeah.
It's critical, and I think in the healthcare space, you look at how medicine has changed. It's a volume-driven industry, right? And PTs, physicians, surgeons, they all fail, or a majority of them fail to recognize the human factor in all of that. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes they put themselves on a pedestal, and you're talking down to people as opposed to meeting people head on and giving them an ear. And you talk about like, where do you separate yourself? And I try to instill that in a lot of our team, that take a step back, shut up, and just listen. And my professor told me that years ago, back up at Quinnipiac. Mm-hmm. Shut up and listen, and Joe and Tim, they're going to tell you how to fix them. Mm-hmm. And if you don't lead with ego, you don't walk through the door with ego, oftentimes it's going to solve itself.
Okay, yeah. So then in that case, what was the most challenging or interesting rehabilitation you had to perform based off of a client or a patient?
It goes back to probably a couple months into practice in Jersey. It was a male-female dynamic. And the prescription comes in. Back then it was paper charts. Prescription comes in. It was a 33-year-old female that hurt her knee playing golf. So I walk in. At that time in Montclair, we had private rooms. I walk in and open up the chart. I said, oh, it says here that you're 33 years old and you injure your knee playing golf. She goes, no, I'm 28. It's like, okay. Like I have your driver's license and your identification says you're 33. No, I'm 28. So really like your red flags start going up. Right? She's just kind of contesting the initial interaction. And I said, all right, let's get past this. So visit one comes and goes, and she tells me, she's like, listen, I don't want surgery. Like, you got to help me. Okay, I'm the conservative guy. I'm not going to be the one to cut you if that's indicated, but let's talk about what we're going to put in place to help and make you feel better. I don't want surgery. You got to help me. Okay. So again, like your alarms start going off, like something's awkward here. So get into visit 2, visit 4, visit 8, visit 10, subsequent visits. Like there's less clothes and less clothes and less clothes coming into the office that she's wearing. Like, this is odd. Maybe visit like 12 or 14. She's late for her visit. And I have the front desk call her and doesn't pick up. And she shows up maybe like an hour and a half later. No shoes on, a spaghetti strap top on, completely soaking wet, and irate, like walking into the office. So I'm treating you in the corner, and I'm looking back, and I say to myself, what is going on right now? And I see who it is, and I walk over. I'm like, are you okay? Right? You just disheveled mess right now. It's like, oh, someone tried breaking into my apartment, and I jumped out the window, and I'm like, you came to therapy? Go to the police.
Yeah.
So starts hysterically crying at the front desk. I try to diffuse the situation. I bring her into a room, and at that time, if this is the room looking in front of me, over my shoulder here, we had shelves with sheets and towels. So I step out of the room, I turn around, I gather some sheets and towels, I turn back towards her, and she has her shorts jacked up all the way to her chin and is completely exposed with no underwear. So time stopped. I remember like it was yesterday. Time stopped, and I'm saying to him, I got sheets and towels in my hand, and I'm like, they don't teach you this in school.
yeah, you don't.
So I just take the stuff, and I'm like, here, cover yourself. I shut the door, and I was like, I'll be back. And again, time stopped again. And I'm like, what do you do here, right? You have like a half-naked woman inside the room. Clearly, like I don't know where her head's at right now. So I go to my director at the time. I said, you got to step in here. I don't know what to do. This is not in the textbook on page 145. And we got a situation. So ultimately what happened was he stepped in. He took over for like a couple more sessions. She completely ignored me. And then eventually she never came back.
And so you guys never figured out what was going on with her?
No.
That is so strange.
But again, early on, so that taught me that I've spent all this time and money on school to get pass boards and get a license, that in a very short period of time, it can be taken away by just reckless decision making. Mm-hmm. So after that, I said, we still continue to have private rooms. If I had female clients that I didn't think it was going to go well, I just had some of our female staff members. I'm like, just come in the room, sit with me, and say nothing. I just need eyes.
Yeah.
Just to protect myself, protect the patient. And
sure. Makes them feel comfortable too.
Yeah.
You're not in a private room with another man.
But that was
who has to touch you.
Exactly. Exactly. That was one of the challenges early on.
Dude, that's a wild story.
I'm trying to think like what her, I mean, we'll never know, but what her end game and what her goal was on that. It's just weird. I mean, that at least that happened early on. So now that never happened again, right? It seems like a lot of big things like happened that in your time as your professional career. You have that strange encounter
early on.
You have COVID where you have to go through those issues. So at least you've learned a lot, right?
I have.
Yeah,
I have.
Let's get into then Attain, because there's a story behind it, isn't there?
There is.
So let's where were you before Attain? What were you doing? What happened, if anything happened, and then how did you open up?
So when I left Connecticut to move back to Jersey, I took a position at a multidisciplinary practice, which means it's a team of professionals. It was chiropractors, physicians, PTs, acupuncturists, and that didn't last long. And I think the story behind that is recognize your worth, recognize how hard you've worked to obtain a professional license in a certain state, and don't be positioned to put that license at risk. So I was being positioned to push you to certain disciplines just to be able to bill your insurance, that you didn't need the procedures that were being asked of me to push. Right? So
Unethical practice.
And again, recognize your worth and protect what you've worked hard for. So I said to myself, I need to move on and close this chapter because it just doesn't resonate with me. I left in 4 weeks with nothing else put in place, and I did what I know how to do, and that's just figure out something. So that mistake was taking a position saying yes exclusively for the dollar signs I saw on a piece of paper in that offer. Big failure. But you're new out of school, you see a ton of money coming your way. I was like, all right, this is great, right? You can start filling up your bank account, and this is the right move early on. Wrong move. And I think for a lot of the young practitioners and young people entering the workforce, money will come. Money will come. Get your reps in and protect what you've worked for, and A plus B equals C, and money will come. That's C. So I moved on, and I ultimately joined a practice that was in the infancy of their journey, and I was offered an opportunity for like a couple hours a week. And a couple hours a week turned into more than a couple hours. That turned into a full-time position. And then a full-time position presented itself where I could take over as a director at a really young age. And the question was...
So the director position started from a couple hours a week?
Yeah.
Wow.
Right? So a couple hours into a full-time role, and then there were things happening on the back end that, again, I wasn't comfortable with. And I said, listen, leadership here has to make some decisions, and it could be either with me or without me. So the
Lay
question,
down the hammer.
Yeah, because, and again, like the time and money spent into graduate, like get through undergrad and graduate level degrees, you've worked so hard. Countless hours in studying in the library and sleepless nights. And then you enter the real world and they're just trying to leverage a license. And I get that. It's business. But you still got to have the best interest of your employees in mind. And you can't expose people like that. It's my take on it. And I think that goes a longer way with people investing their time in you and in a concept and in a brand. So, yes, it ultimately turned into a directorship because of one simple question. That simple question was, I'm here to have a conversation with you, Matt, about an opening, and you're young in your career. Should I hire above you? And the answer was no, don't. Put my head on the chop block, give me a chance to prove myself and right the ship and turn the numbers around, and then we'll sit down at the turn of the year, and if we're not where we need to be, get rid of me. I'll figure out the next chapter. And...
You gambled on yourself, quite literally.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, and
that's
I
impressive.
think, if you look at the definition of entrepreneurship on Google, and we should do that, but in that definition, and correct me if I'm wrong, you should see risk in that definition. We're going to fact check that now.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure definition of entrepreneurship, risk should be.
Because Google doesn't give you a straight answer; it gives you a full AI.
Yeah, now it's good.
Yeah,
Gemini's kicking in gear.
The activity of setting up a business or businesses taking financial risk in the hope of
Told
profit.
you. Boom. Excellent. So risk. I've taken risk in many facets of my life. And that was a risk early on that I was willing to take because I know if given the opportunity, I know what I could do with it. Mm-hmm. And awarded the directorship. I knew the trajectory we were on. I said, listen, if we're going to continue to grow this concept, we're going to do it together as partners, or again, I'll go figure this out for myself. Mm-hmm. We partnered. We grew and scaled a phenomenal business together for 9.5 years. And then in the fall of 2019, I was at a crossroads. It was time to move in a different direction. And ultimately, I wanted to take my effort, my talents, and really my household in a different direction from a financial standpoint. So we split, and that didn't unfold well at all. My wife and I were away on vacation in October of 2019, and effectively I was basically cut from all of our platforms. So I was cut, basically told I was going to be paid to the end of the year, and we would figure out some sort of a buyout for my interest in the business. And that kind of started the kind of legal back and forth. And I knew that I wanted to stay in the healthcare space, but I also, as a professional and someone that leads with respect, I was going to respect my restrictive covenants. Mm-hmm. And Attain came to life in an office in the end of 2019, early 20-ish, and I was supposed to go live with this concept down in Belmar. I had obtained a space really close to the beach. Was set to go live. I think it was March 16th of 2020. I just finished painting the office with my brother that weekend, and then shutdown day comes, right?
Surprise!
Yeah. So, you're kind of in this legal battle. I have a newborn on the way, and set to go live with a brand new business on a Monday morning, and you can't do anything. Mm-hmm. Right? You have no customers. You have a brand on paper that the world doesn't know about, and the world's not going to find out about because how we were used to communicating was completely shut off and different.
Word of mouth, right?
Word of mouth, pounding pavement, right? Mm-hmm. Walking into doctors' offices and physicians' offices, like that human interaction, which is how we grew and scaled the other business, you couldn't do anymore. So you're left to figure out, again, something different. And physical therapy is physical therapy, right? It's a kind of an intimate profession where you're putting your hands on people and there's close proximity and people are coming in pain and they're vulnerable. I think also in business, you need some luck to come your way. And luck arrived with the introduction to a young woman that was an executive director for a Sunrise Assisted Living down in Shrewsbury, New Jersey. Mm-hmm. She was tasked to build and lead this brand new structure they were building just on the outskirts of Red Bank. And she wanted a young, hungry, fresh concept to the delivery of care for her residents, which in this case happened to be the geriatric population. So I dove right in, and Attain finally became operational June 15th of 2020. And then, as I mentioned, my next challenge was trying to get people to jump on board and trust me, right? And we were off to the races, Joe and Tim. It was head down. Let's start figuring this out. And once the train left the station, right, the next challenge was fueling this business out of my pocket because you have no insurance money coming in for like the first really 90 to like 120 days of business because you're brand new. So I remember it was like around just after Labor Day, and I'm having calls with the billing team that I had outsourced, and I said, "There's no money coming in. What the hell is going on? I'm fueling this business out of my pocket. We have employees, right? They're getting paid, and there's not much runway left. You need to get this stuff, funds to start coming through." And I said, "I don't think if you're hearing me loud enough.
Yeah.
Like, there's not much runway left." And entrepreneurship, you are taken care of last. Your people are paramount, absolutely paramount. And my responsibility is them first. Patients first. Me, I'm last. So we finally got like a nice dump of funds into the bank account. You could take a half a breath, and then little by little, the train keeps going, and you kind of start to figure out what's next, right? Do you want more? Do you not want more? And I've always wanted more. I've always wanted to take the show on the road to deliver a product that's different than what you mentioned before. That's this cookie cutter approach. And that can be said for any business.
Absolutely.
Not just healthcare. So we took it on the road, and as you kind of introduced me, yeah, we've organically and naturally have grown into across state lines, into DC, into New York, into Florida, into Oregon, and that's through a growing network. That's by consistently paying attention to the details and doing the right things over and over and over again. Not just doing the right things Monday to Wednesday, doing it Monday to Friday and Saturday and Sunday, and then doing it again on Monday morning. And then getting your team of people to understand that. That's of utmost importance. And if you don't align with that, then maybe this is not the place for you.
And you know, it's incredible too, because you can even say that your experience in that first venture where those practices weren't what you were, weren't the most ethical, right? That taught you that you weren't being valued by the leadership, and now that what to do for your employees.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And it goes back to what I said earlier about my dad and how he handled his people, right? Whether it's the customer or the people that worked for him. And at the end of the day, if you're looking to grow a business beyond just sole proprietorship where it's just you, you are nothing without your people. Nothing.
I love that. You're nothing without your people. Yeah.
And
that's such a key thing, because there's a lot of people that are in business, and like I think this is one. I don't know if you said on here, but we talked before about knowing Andy and Mikey in the gym, and that's what they set apart too. And like, there's several people from the gym that are entrepreneurs, and it's the same theme with all of them. It's you put everyone else and your clients and your employees first, and the simple word is integrity.
Yes.
And then so many other people just get dollar hungry, and what's it? Penny smart, dollar dumb, or something like that. Whatever. But you get so focused. You get so focused on the bottom line, and you just ignore the rest. And then you can just walk into a business and feel that it's like you don't care. You just care about taking my money and pass me.
Yeah, right. Yep. Yeah.
So like,
feel that,
even if you come in 10% of what you do, you're already ahead of half the businesses out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So. They don't they say in business particularly business, but everything's a sale, right? If you help the client, that's where the sale is. The sale is not in the sale. You're not a good. You're helping.
So that's a good segue about helping. And in physical therapy, we're there to help people, but there's more than one way to help someone when you have them in your presence. And I like to be an advocate. I like to be a resource. I like to be a provider for them. And what I mean by that is how you establish relationships with someone when they're coming in pain and vulnerable, who have never met me before. I have a very short period of time to convince them, right? When you came in, to convince you got sent to me by your brother.
Yeah.
Great. It's a word of mouth referral. We'd spoken before, but never had too much of a deeply rooted relationship.
Exactly.
But I got a very short period of time to convince you coming out of surgery that I'm the right guy for you, and your brother hyped me up. Matt's the guy. I got to deliver.
Yeah.
From the second you get on that table. So I got a very short period of time to convince someone, whether they've been referred to me or they've done the research about 7 other PT practices up and down the highway. They've picked us. They're on my schedule, and I need to convince them that they've made the right decision. Or if they don't have a physician, convince them that I'm qualified, confident, and I'm going to send you to someone else because I think we need more information here, and they're going to listen to me. Or establish relationships strong enough with people that they'll call me in the middle of the day because they trust me with everything that comes out of my mouth. I remember this in Berkeley Heights. I got a patient over there, calls me in the middle of the day, goes, Matt, she calls the office calls me, we got Mr. Smith on the line, and he needs a couple referrals for different restaurants in Montclair. And I'm like, Christina, I don't have time for this right now. But I bring that example up is because people come to me for everything. And I had another guy 3 weeks ago who's had a lot of heavy surgeries to his low back. Heavy surgeries. And he's gone in and out through the system. He got to me, word of mouth referral, after his first spine surgery. And I knew something was wrong. I'm like, something's not right here. I'm like, you got to go talk to the neurosurgeon. Something's not right here. You're still having like weakness. You're still having numbness going down the front part of your leg. And you need an updated MRI. Goes for the MRI. MRI comes back relatively clean. Something's still not right here. I'm on him. And we keep having this dialogue for like a year and change. And ultimately, he finally pushes the neurosurgeon. They figure out that he's probably at a point now where it's time to go back in for surgery. And the MRI did not demonstrate just how messed up his spine was when they opened him up on the table.
Wow.
So he comes back after, like once he's cleared to turn back to therapy, he walks in, he goes, "You're the only one that was right."
Dang.
Just like points to me, he goes, "You're the only one that knew something. Only one."
Mm-hmm.
Like highly trained people. I'm highly trained. I'm not a neurosurgeon. But he goes, "You're the only one." And most recently, he comes to me about, again, the healthcare system. And he goes, "Matt, the way you talk, the way you help me navigate, the way you treat, the way you answer questions." He goes, "I wish you could function as my primary care." And I kind of smirked at him. And I said, "Mr. Smith, I'd love to, but I can't. Like, there's other professionals for that. I can be whatever you need me to be, but I can't function as your primary." But I bring up that story as well but it goes back to how you establish relationships and how someone can commit to you with what they need to get better with.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's incredible. Oh, were you gonna say something?
I was gonna say that the thing that all you did was you were passionate and actually cared about doing the job.
Yes.
And not just being done with it.
Yes.
You know,
and also knowing where your skill set starts and finishes.
Absolutely.
Right? I'm not an electrician.
Yeah.
I'm not a plumber. I'm not a neurosurgeon. But you're not going to bring a plumber in to do an electrician's job.
No.
You're not going to bring a neurosurgeon to do a PT's job. But knowing where your skill set starts and finishes and not leading with ego and blurring those lines.
You're establishing trust at that point.
Yes.
Yeah. And
That's
and
crazy.
the big thing in those situations, you're bringing in curiosity.
Yes.
You know, you're curious. All right, there's something wrong here. We need to figure this out. And then, like you're saying, the typical healthcare professional is, "Oh, this is something wrong? That's what I think it is."
Yep.
Okay, done. Move on. And not like, "I think we need to figure out what this is." Like, your goal is to figure out, you being a detective, like, what is the actual thing? Not, "Oh, here's the symptoms, here's the answer."
Yeah, have the experience not be transactional and have it be more wholesome.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but the vibe I get from you when you were like a year and change to keep going back and forth with him was probably fun for you. You were probably like at going home being like, "What's wrong? What am I missing?"
It's a head scratcher.
Yeah, it's probably like you, and that's where the passion, the heart comes in. Like you enjoy it. It's not. It wasn't a pain. What's going on? He's back here. No, it's like, no. What's going on with so and so? Why is he? What's going on? Am I missing something? Are they missing something?
Yep.
And then
That's problem solving.
Yeah,
That's problem solving clinically, and then there's problem solving business wise, and those things happen on a daily basis. And as an entrepreneur, you either need to embrace those things, or it's not for you. Go work for someone else.
Yeah, like, is that an example of one of the many, I guess, fire drills, so to speak? When you speak about business owners, there's always a fire drill, right?
Yeah.
Is that along the lines of what a fire drill is, or is that different?
There's always a fire to be put out. And is it along the lines of a fire drill? The answer is yes. The degree of fire and how amplified the fire is going to vary. It's going to vary by how it's presented to you. It's going to vary by if you choose to engage with emotion or a breath. Early on in my career, it was engaged with emotion. Right? I'm a strong, fiery, passionate guy.
You're Italian, man.
I'm Italian. I'm an Aries, right? If you look up Aries on Google,
sign.
like you'll see my face pop up. And but growth is figuring out different ways to handle a problem, and stupidity is handling the problem the same way each and every time, thinking you're going to have a different result.
Oh, that's a nice.
So, but there's always fires, and you need to be prepared for the unexpected. You need to be prepared that something is always going to go wrong, always, and mitigate damages, right, by trying to problem solve as quick as you possibly can.
Sure.
And early on, where your financial resources are limited, you're forced to do all of that yourself. You're forced to be HR. You're forced to be the plumber. You're forced to be the PT. You're forced to be the attorney because you can't afford the fancy guys that can help you with the more complicated decision making. But as you kind of start to establish yourself, the problems get amplified, and you need to lean on different professionals for resources to help you navigate those without getting yourself in trouble.
Does that come about naturally, where at some point you're like, all right, I need to get someone else on board to help me with XYZ? Or is that like a preventative? Are you planning, or is it more reactionary? Like something comes up, you're like, all right, well, I'm wearing too many hats right now. It's time to take this hat and put it to someone else.
I think naturally it starts to happen if your ears are open, your ego is aside, and you realize, like, I can't do it all, right? I can't do it all. And if I pretend to do it all, it's going to harm the business. It's going to harm the business. It's going to harm the people that are on the journey with me right now. And I think that's just short-sightedness. And you recognize, again, like I said earlier, where your skill set starts and finishes. And also, too, with growth, you want to bring people on the journey that are better than you in certain aspects. I'm not going to pretend that I know how to do it all. But there's people in the organization right now that have certain strengths that I don't, and you got to leverage those and recognize that.
And you know
That's
that
a key thing right there.
right? What were you gonna say?
I just emphasize that's a key part is leaning on the other people. You know, you've been doing this for how many years, right? So being a physical therapist, you probably have been through the weeds of all different skill sets in it, and now you're in the business aspect. So you may have a PT who might be better at this one little thing than you, even though you have 10 times more experience, but you're so far along in the entrepreneur section. It's like, okay, no, I'm gonna let him take it. Yep. There's no reason why I have to take this, and that you don't have any ego with it and all that. And that's really hard to set aside.
It is, and that's what the point I want to make. It's like, as humans, right, and especially being an entrepreneur, being the face of the company, right? At first, it may seem like if someone is better than you at something, like, wait, I'm supposed to be the head honcho. But if you take that ego aside, like you do, for you, it's probably like, oh, Steve can do this better than me. Yes, now that's you.
Let him roll with it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And that's empowerment.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Empowering your people to have their own successes and fail, right? And if they fail, be there to catch them, help them clean things up, and learn from where this decision making could have been just a little bit different, and yielded a better result.
How do you approach that as a business owner when the failures do arise in your employees? And then how do you distinguish between something when someone is able to learn and when maybe that they're just not getting it? Like, how do you distinguish that?
Early on, I used to go in right head on, very direct, and it was not received well. Right, it was very unidirectional, and kind of me directing direction, point A to point B. It worked for some, it didn't work for most.
Okay.
And when you're getting pushback from people that are older than you, if you got to recognize you're not getting anywhere. And I recognize that. So you go into situations, I've started going into situations with a different thought process, and even now I go into situations where you give the personnel an opportunity to throw on the table what actually transpired. Right? Let's you present me the facts and let's talk about it, and then you present me what could have gone better, what would you have done different, given the opportunity to think about it through this lens or through that lens, and present that to me. So again, what did I just say to you guys? Like I'm sitting and listening. So very different than how I started doing it early on in my career, where I'm sitting and talking. So my mouth is shut. I'm being delivered the information about how they saw it, their thought process and decision making, and then kind of in an open forum, we're talking about the result, and here's what we would like to see different, and here's how it could have gone better amongst your colleagues, amongst the patient you were dealing with, amongst whatever the situation may be. So the approach now is, and it's still tough for me. Still tough for me being kind of the person that I am, to kind of sit back with, my hands crossed and just listen when the business could be at risk, and I'm trying to protect the person that's across from me on the table and a lot of other people on the ride.
Yeah.
Right. But again, 15 years later, you have a different approach, and some people said to me, which probably happened maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. One of my employees said to me, Matt, in the heart of the clinic, Matt, you're getting soft and you're different. I said, no, I'm more calculated. Trust me. Right? I can't tell her or him exactly what's in my head and how I want to fix the situation, because she or he doesn't need to know that. Sure. But I said, no, I'm no different. I'm just more calculated.
Yeah.
And you need to be more calculated when there's more people on the ride.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you become battle hardened almost.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, that's sick. That's a great response.
It's funny because what I'm hearing out of your mouth is, right, so you're talking about dealing with your employees, basically, and everyone. You just took the same approach you were doing with your clients.
Yes.
But now your clients are no longer, you still may have PT clients, but your clients are no longer them. It's all your employees, basically. Yep. So right, it's the same thing. It's just applying the lesson.
The employees are an extension of the vision, right? And the employees are kind of permeating the vision and the delivery of care to the public. And that's what we're licensed to do. But the original question about like how I handle situations before and now, and my response to her in the clinic that day is, I am no different. I am still got a lit flame inside me. I'm just more calculated.
No, that's awesome. Now, to take this question a step further, what I feel, never having been an entrepreneur, what I feel is that probably having to, when it doesn't work out, right? Let's just say a mutual agreement between employee and employer doesn't work out. You have to let them go. For me, that seems like probably one of the most uncomfortable.
Easiest thing in the world.
Easiest thing.
I'll say it on camera again. Easiest thing in the world.
How do you
Because at that point, when you're ready to let them go, they already fired themselves.
Oh, no way.
Easiest thing to do.
Oh, that's incredible.
It's not hard. And think about what's been mounting to get to that point in time. You've had performance improvement plans put in place. They failed those, right? They're clocking in late. you've tried to remedy that. Maybe you changed their schedule. They're still easiest thing to do.
Okay, yeah. So they basically did to themselves.
You gave them the opportunity. Give them enough rope to hang themselves. Figuratively speaking. You give them the opportunity, and it's like, here, I'm going to give you a chance to show that you're worth keeping, and you didn't. It's just setting a boundary and sticking to it.
Easiest thing to do.
Easiest thing.
Because to your point, you've given them every opportunity. And those conversations should last no more than 2 minutes. Mm-hmm. It should not be long and drawn out. And if either of you have been deposed before for a court situation, your attorney will tell you that less is more, right? Answer the question, only the question.
Sure.
Exit our firings like that. You start giving too much and why this, and you're going to dig yourself a hole. Mm-hmm. Start to finish, those are the easiest conversations to have.
Dang, well, that's good to know. That's good to know for future people. If that at that point it was like agreed upon mutually, so to speak.
You've done everything in your power to provide a platform for that employee to succeed, yet they still can't stay true to the performance improvement plan. They're still tardy. They're still talking to certain colleagues a certain way. Easiest thing to do. Now, a lot of times I'll hear people that have come on and off the train over the years is, I hate confrontation. And that's fine, but that exchange doesn't need to be confrontational because they've served it up themselves.
Damn.
And I think that leads back to your point was less is more. Like, hey, we tried, this isn't working. It's time to go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you need to go and rip this guy a new one because you don't like him or whatever? You need to get rid of him and he's not doing. There's no benefit. He's already gone. You don't need to waste your energy.
Yeah. Sometimes that feels good.
Absolutely. But what piece are you bringing to the company? And all you're doing is opening yourself up for a lawsuit.
Yep.
A wrongful termination lawsuit.
Yep.
Because you said you're a fucking asshole.
Yep.
And it's not worth it. You want to, but you get to go home and tell your wife, that guy's such a piece of crap.
Yep.
But yeah, so I have a kind of a side tangent on that. To the hiring process, how do you filter out this stuff through interviews and stuff? I know you're talking about trying to find good help right now, but to get to even the point where you're firing someone, they already have to go through your hiring process. So I'm sure you would know what you're looking for, and to get to that point,
So you get a resume that comes through, and now we've been doing a lot of stuff on Indeed. First time in my career, probably the past 14 months, we've had to resort to using recruiters and paying those exorbitant fees. But you get a resume, and you're trying to analyze someone on a piece of paper with black ink, and you get a general sense of who they are, what they've accomplished by the formatting, the grammar, and is there a certain timeline to how they're trying to present themselves on a piece of paper, or their chops in employment. And then I take that, and we take that, and it turns into a phone conversation. And what I've always tried to evaluate is what I find on paper, does that consistent with what's being put into my ear in a phone call? If those two things align, if there's consistency with a piece of paper and the English language being poured into my ear, let's get them in for a face-to-face. The interviews that I've always conducted have not been how you two are sitting across from the table and firing questions back and forth. It's what we're doing today. Conversational, it's open, and I look to see how they engage with colleagues in the office. I look to see how they engage with patients, what kind of questions they ask. I'm not even evaluating their clinical skill set. Nothing. I'm evaluating them. How are you as a human being? And can you engage in basic forms of human interaction, which has been...
It's like common sense. It's basic, but it doesn't mean it's there.
I saw a clip of Gary Vee the other day, and he's talking about 2026, and he's talking about huge opportunities getting back to things that involve human interaction, right? That there's a massive opportunity there about human interaction. It was great. And you know how he infuses... a lot of energy and enthusiasm into his speaking. But that clicked in my head. But back to the interview process, I had a PT in the office the other day, and she did fantastic, absolutely fantastic with greeting, engaging, asking certain questions before we even touched on any of the technical stuff of what our profession requires. Mm-hmm. If those things align in face to face, then it involves more of a kind of a didactic, hands-on approach to the interview process where we're evaluating, all right, I don't need you to do everything like we do it or like how I do it. I need to understand if there's a baseline skill set and if there's this massive gap of where we need you to be, and if there's an openness to learning how to fill that void and that massive gap. Mm-hmm. And if there is an openness, great. How long is it going to take us time and money to fill that gap? And if there's too much of a gap, there's no openness to learning new things, then it's just not worth anybody's time or money spent towards that. That's been my process really from the beginning.
I love it because it's always coming back to the same theme here. It's the people. It's treating people. It's interactions, like you said. It's very much a human relationship rather than a business relationship. It's just masqueraded under the business. Yep. That's it. That's awesome, man. I think, I think that we as like American, or just not even American, just the world in general, when it comes to business, have lost that. And I don't know why, but it's just been a very much like, not to use the word cookie cutter again, but it's like these big corporations, right? And you don't really have that interaction. You don't have the communication, whereas you're keeping that communication. And you're making sure. Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah. It's funny, though, because you have all this stuff. You almost have like a more warm cookie cutter, right? You have your process that you do, but it's not, we come in and we treat. It's no. You're coming in and see the human. How much of a human are you, basically?
Yes.
And from my understanding of what you're talking about with your process, by the time, okay, phase one, you got through phase one, you can talk to me. Your resume meets up, cool. In person, you're starting to vibe with the team. Okay, cool. Let's see how hands on, and like you're getting step by step. So if they get to that last step, what are the odds of them not making it fully through? There's a chance, but by the time they got there, they've gone through so much stuff. So it's like cutting someone off at the first part of that's easy. Sorry, it's not going to work out. Yep. The second part, bringing them in, okay, no, they're rude to everyone. That's easy.
Yeah, it's easy.
So like the process you're going through, like to say no to someone, it probably isn't hard, even in that process.
No.
Like, no, you're not meeting it. This is our standard. This is, the quality of person we want here. You're not it. Okay. And it's from the sound, it makes it so easy to just say no, it seems like.
And I tell prospective candidates that there's a blank canvas, right? Blank canvas. Mm-hmm. You guys did a great job painting this weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And the exoskeleton of that blank canvas is black and white, right? Attain's colors right here. And the exoskeleton of that blank canvas is our way of protecting the employee and the client. And then I mentioned the platform now for me business is expression. And I've used that whole idea of the delivery of care as an expression because how you choose to paint that blank canvas is entirely up to you. Maybe when you were coming for treatment, Joe, I used pink, orange, green, and a little bit of yellow. Maybe. Mm-hmm. And in order to make that not cookie cutter, maybe week 1 we used pink, orange, green, and yellow because that's what was warranted. Week 2 was a little bit of red, a little bit of blue, and still some of that green because you needed that. Week 3, it was black, white, orange, and yellow because that's what you needed, right? That's good practice, right? That is listening to your patient. That is being a chameleon in real time. That's an important concept for business too. Mm-hmm. You can't be so rigid. You got to be a chameleon, roll with the punches, depending on how high that fire's lit.
Sure.
But also giving the therapist the autonomy for expression to pick their own colors, and not say, "Well, Matt says it's got to be black, white, and orange, morning, noon, and night every single day of the week." That's not fair, right? And I want them to pick different colors on their canvas. Because not everybody's personality is mine. Not everybody's thought process is mine. But if you give someone an opportunity to think, think for themselves, that fosters growth.
Yeah, I like that. And the one thing that I remember, because you and I were the ones who worked the most, but then there was a couple of other therapists that did help me there. And while there was a different, not a different approach, while they had their own style, the amount of care, the amount of attention, the actual approach that your core values stayed the same. And that's what was good. It was transmuted all the way down, or transmitted something.
Yeah. And it seems like, talking through the hiring process and your standard that you hold before you let someone go is there's no reason not to trust them to have autonomy. You already made the decision, like, okay, these people represent the face of this company alongside of me and everyone else. Like at that point, if you can't trust people to do that, to represent you, then why are you hiring these people?
Exactly.
And then, and even taking a step back, why are you an entrepreneur if you can't trust people to do that for you? And obviously when you first start, right, you get what you can get, and like, you may be a little more risky on who you're bringing in. You're definitely going to have your standard, but like you may put up with a little more looseness in that rigid in the expectations, because you first start off, you get your first employee, you only have so much reputation to start with. Now you got 6 locations.
Oh, there's more than that.
Damn.
Oh
my God.
There's now 3 outpatient locations.
Sorry, 6 states?
New York, 5.
5 states.
Yeah,
okay,
5.
So 5 states with many locations.
All the inpatient are in Jersey, right?
No. So the assisted livings, we take care of handfuls of assisted livings in New Jersey. There's assisted livings in Florida, assisted living in Washington, D.C., and as well as Oregon. And then there's 3 outpatient in Jersey.
Got it. That's what I meant.
Outpatient. So that was a good segue. I was curious.
Comment on one thing you said.
Oh, go ahead.
I struggled early on when I was put into a leadership role in the infancy of my career, because people, the personnel, didn't have the same vigor, enthusiasm, or passion for wanting to problem solve, like you said, right? I can't figure out Joe right now. I can't figure out Tim's shoulder. I'm going home scratching my head. I'm losing sleep. I'm calling physicians and different resources across the country to figure out how to problem solve that issue. That wasn't matched with the people that I was surrounded by. And I was incredibly frustrated, pissed off, and I had just started dating my wife at the time. And she's like, "You're insane to deal with." She's like, "You can't come home like this every single day." And like that hit me in the face. She's like, "You got to be okay with people not doing it exactly the same as you." And she was 100% spot on. And like that conversation with her was, you need to figure out as a leader how to build people up and get them where they need to be, and be okay with it not being where you want to go. That's okay. But early on, I struggled. I was incredibly frustrated.
Thing.
Yeah. But it's part of the process, right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't have been able, and I shouldn't say wouldn't have been able, it wouldn't have been as easy for you to understand what you needed to do now to be successful if you didn't go through that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And I'm sure most of that was just because you didn't have the experience of the personnel. You did all this PT schooling, right? How much of that was management schooling?
Not much at all.
Yeah, if that. And then
it was PT school, and it was being a D1 athlete. Being a D1 athlete, it's like, all right, here's the game plan, and you're going to go and do it.
Yeah.
And you're going to be on the field. You're going to be on the bench. You're going to come off the bench and go do the game plan. Like, it was very, again, transactional. Like you know what you had to accomplish.
Yeah.
It's not like it's rigid, but like it's very obvious when you are not delivering, you are not playing.
Exactly.
Where we're here at work is, if you're not delivering, you may still have a job.
Yep.
Like you can just casually go through life at work and you're doing just enough to not get fired.
Yep.
And not everyone has the fiery passion to you. And this is the question for later on, but like not everyone wants to be an entrepreneur. Right.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like that dichotomy of the passionateness, but it's like they don't want to go out there and sell clients. They want to come and do the best thing they can for the clients here. And you don't need the PT guy to be the salesperson.
Yep.
You, though, when you started, you were all of it.
You have to be all of it.
So it's like,
I'm selling every day still.
Yeah. But it's like learning the expectation to have for the other person, right? It sounds like you were struggling with. And it's like, I have all this that I want to do. It's like, to expect other people to have that, you might find that. But also, if you found another one of you at the same company as you, it could work. But also, if you're both trying to be the one making the decision and leading, people can just vibe. And you guys like, all right, I'm going to do this. You can do that. And then but most of the time with that, if you have two people that intense, it's like someone's got to take a step back.
Oh, yeah.
God, that's funny.
But all that shit, all that stuff, I'm assuming was, learned skills throughout the way.
Yeah. Open-mindedness and being, forced to...
The chameleon.
Yeah. To think differently. You mentioned not everyone needs to be an entrepreneur. It was I think it was January, February of 2021. I get a resume that comes in, and I'm looking at it, and he actually was an intern of ours at my first venture.
Oh, he found you. That's pretty sick.
Yeah, he found me. He called the office, and I want to submit my resume. He comes in. We're 5 minutes into a conversation. How do I get equity? It's like, whoa. Slow down. Slow down. Slow down. I said, let's talk about what that means. And a little bit of the story about how everything unfolded at the last venture. You're not just going to walk in and be gifted something. And being gifted something, there's certain tax consequences that come with that, which you probably have no idea what that even means. And being the son of an accountant, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay? So how do I get equity? I said, hold on. Stood up. I walked him outside to the front of the location in Fairfield, and they have my 3-foot by 6-foot sign plastered into a brick wall. And I said, why do you think you need your name on the front facade of a brick wall? Because it'd be cool, and I can call myself a business owner. Let's go back inside. Let's talk about everything else that comes with that. And I went through tax consequences and liability and different HR-related items and employee benefit, like different things that come with operating a real business, right? Not a hobby. And it's like, all right, I didn't really understand all of those other facets. And I said, just think about it, but you can't come in here in 5 minutes think I'm going to make you a partner in this business because you like having your name on the front part of the brick outside. So all the other things that come with business ownership that's under the hood, that's dirty, that sucks at times, and you may not think because the exterior is brand new, shiny, and sexy, and you got a nice sign on the front. It's not for everybody. It doesn't have to be for everybody.
Yeah.
There's a lot of extra that comes from that under the hood that people don't recognize.
Yeah. It's funny too, is just even you talking about dealing with that former intern coming in. Most people just say, no, you can leave now. But you took the time because you care and you're like, listen, let me explain to you what this means.
Yeah.
Anyone else is just like, okay, cool.
Get lost.
Interview's done. We're good. We don't want you here.
Yeah, you want to know what? And I laughed a little bit. And now that I'm thinking back at it, I didn't mean to laugh at him because he probably was genuinely wanted to own a business. And you then opened his eyes. Now, regardless, he does that in the future because he probably will try it at some point. Or whether he doesn't, now at least he had someone, like Timmy said, to take time and show him. And that's, once again, part of the people, right? The relationship.
Yeah.
Love that.
So I have a question. This is a little, I know someone that has their own business and they struggle with justifying hiring people, solo person right now. Because it's like, well, if I'm doing this and I'm this skilled, then they would just do this on their own kind of mentality. Did you have that at all going in, or maybe not in the physical therapy world? You deal with enough people that may not necessarily be an entrepreneur, but that's kind of the mindset. I've had this conversation with several other people too. It's like not everyone's the under the hood employee, insurance, the lawyers, the late hours, the crap. We're waiting on the insurance money to come through, and we don't have any money right now because we have $100,000 of money coming through that's 90 days delayed because insurance doesn't want to pay, kind of stuff.
So one thing I'm very proud of is my last venture, the team that we built of therapists, were an incredible group of people. extremely skilled. A large percentage of that team has gone on to put their name on the front part of the brick facade.
That's awesome.
Congratulations, everyone.
So, to me, there's two ways to look at that. You could look at that like they moved on and they stabbed you in the back and are trying to compete with you. Mm-hmm. Or I view it as it's a feather in my cap because you gave someone the platform to explore, to have successes, to have failures underneath or on our train at that time. And now they're doing it them for themselves. And I think that's amazing. People ask me, what about non-competes and competition? My response is simple. I'll have an issue if you want to share a wall with me next door. Mm-hmm. I have an issue with that.
Reasonable.
Right? But someone that wants to compete with me better have the mindset that they're going to outwork me, and I'll tell you right now,
it ain't happening.
They're not a chance in hell they're going to outwork me.
Yeah, and also too is like like your whole thing comes down to. I'm speaking for you right now. This is my assumption: is it's the quality and it's the human aspect that comes into the whole thing. So it almost seems like you're confident enough that I'm putting my reputation online. I'm going to compete against you, and I don't care because I know I deliver a very high quality product. And if they want to leave, either they're not a client I want because they want the cheapest thing, and that's not what we're here for. Mm-hmm. Not that you charge the top dollar, but it's just we deliver the service at our cost because this is what we need to deliver the high quality. So it's like you're standing on like I got a great foundation and I got this great team, so I'm leaning on this. I don't need to worry about the competition. Mm-hmm.
And competition is good.
Yeah.
Right? Competition is good. It keeps you present, and it makes you refine what you're doing day in and day out.
Yeah, sharpen the blade, yeah. So, no, and also, like, in the grand scheme of things, right? And this is something easier said than done, but it is true that there's enough piece of the pie for everybody.
Yeah, to go around.
Yeah. I think we've learned that a lot through Mikey and Andy with their gym is, like, they've had several other people go open up gyms in other towns and stuff. And, you know, one of their good friends moves Oak Ridge, which is down the street, Toro MMA. They're 20-minute drive. That's technically competition area, but it's not. Yeah. Like there's no hard. It's like
there's no hard feeling, no ill will.
Like
no.
Unless you share the wall with me, like there's plenty of people to go around.
Yes, and even former employees that have worked with me that are in different areas of the state right now, I've picked up the phone and made referrals to them.
Yeah,
because where Joe lives now, where you live now, doesn't make sense for you to drive an hour to see me.
No, yeah,
I don't care how good we are. Go see so-and-so down south because...
Don't waste your time driving to me. You know, you go 1 hour one way, that's 2 hours. Then you got an hour visit.
Yes.
You know, 3 hours of your day for physical therapy. Cool, I appreciate it, but enjoy life.
I do have people that do commit to that because what they have in their surrounding areas, they're not getting what they want, what they need.
Understandable.
And it's worth the hour drive, the hour treat, and the hour back.
Yeah.
However many times a week that they want to come.
Yeah.
That's incredible. That's good. Yeah, it's the right mindset for sure. What's next, man? What's next for Attain?
What's next? That's
you're growing.
That's a layered question.
That is very much a loaded question, but
let's take a step back before what's next. How did you get into other states? How did that start growing?
Good question.
So, by doing a good job over and over and over again, and exposing yourself to a vaster network of people that are just outside the state. We got into Florida because of an event down in Florida where our team happened to meet an executive director that had Jersey roots. She was from Newark. Right, and that was like the Jersey connection. That was it. Like,
it happens all the time.
Yeah, they started to hit it off and like, oh, we have this and we have that. What do you think? Would you guys come into the state? And we explored it, and it made sense, right? So I got licensed in the state of Florida, and we found a space within a building, and little by little, finding good talent in Florida was tough, but we got through that, and we have a great team down there right now. The other states was, again, by doing a good job at home, right? The people that we've aligned with are multi-state, and they had rehab relationships in those respective states that they felt were just subpar. And we like what Attain's doing at home. And are you guys open to reproducing that in DC and in Oregon and in Florida? And the answer was, all right, let's explore it and let's see if it makes the most sense. And it did. It did. I mean, we went up against some big boys for DC, right? Some big multi-state private equity-backed organizations for Washington, D.C. And I mean, we had the upper hand because we were servicing one of the buildings in Princeton.
Sure.
So that got us a seat at the table. Again, we had to deliver it, right? You guys aren't out of state right now. How are you going to grow a team in Washington? And here's how we're going to do it. No different than we do it in Jersey. And we're going to leverage, trains and we'll get it done. Mm-hmm. The product's going to be no different in Washington, D.C. than it's different in New Jersey. Mm-hmm. And you can sell that, but then you got to deliver.
Yeah.
Then you really got to deliver.
What is it? Talk is cheap, right?
Talk is cheap. And that delivery in Jersey and in DC has helped us win a seat at the table for Connecticut for 2026. Mm-hmm. So what's next? Connecticut in 2026 is what's next.
Love that.
The relationship that we've grown in New Jersey, now into DC, they're in Connecticut as well. And they want us to kind of take over probably more than a handful of their buildings up there. And same concept. We're going to do it and do it well.
Yeah, love that.
We've proven ourselves across state lines, and we'll prove ourselves across another set of state lines.
Yeah,
that's great. Awesome. I love that. Damn. It makes me happy to see authenticity and pride and integrity in businesses and letting that take root. Because the toughest thing, I'm talking from assumption here, and I'm sure you experience this, but in that growth, right, carrying that ethos of your company to another state, where you got to trust whoever you're implementing to manage that, and whether that's you stay there for 6 months or whatever, eventually you're detached from that. You got to trust, but that's not easy to do, regardless of what it is. To build a business in another state, let alone do it where you're coming from, especially an industry that you're at is a lot of cookie cutter. Like, this is just a normal thing you do. Yeah. No, that's not us. We do it this way. We take the client's input priority over anything else, kind of thing. And so it's just impressive, and it's nice to hear the success story of that. Well,
it's challenging because you go into a meeting like that and you deliver it, and it's like, well, we want Matt. Mm-hmm. We want Michelle. Mm-hmm. You're not getting Michelle. Yeah. You're not getting me day in and day out. But you're going to get a team that's supported by us, and you're going to be happy. Mm-hmm. That we can stand by.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Also, too, what's funny about growing across state lines, like when I walked into the conference room in Oregon, they knew that I was an East Coast guy. Right?
The fiery attitude.
Just the general presence.
Yeah.
Right? So I walk into that conference room and they're like, whoa. Like, I didn't even open my mouth. And I'm like, do I really come across like that? And yeah, there's a big difference in the Northeast and how it's perceived and how we present.
Yeah.
But that experience out on the Pacific Northwest, when I walked in, it was like, whoa.
That's funny. Yeah. Like, they're more like laid back, and then we just come in. But
I gotta catch myself how I talk on Teams calls and Zoom calls.
Sure.
Because we pack a punch and we deliver strong, and
this area. I mean, Italian heritage. We talk loud and fast.
We do.
Passionate, vibrant, and like even you go South Jersey, it's very different, much slower. Yeah. Not that slow compared to other states, but it's much slower than what we do up here. So I can imagine what it was like doing that.
Yeah.
Like for us, like either for us, it's just normal. Like,
it is.
Hearing you right now, I'm hearing you at your normal pace. But someone like that, it's probably 50 million miles per hour. Yeah. That's funny. I love that.
It's funny.
That's great.
I'm gonna shout out one of my guys, Jason. He just got into PT school.
Okay, congrats.
He's in PT school down in Florida.
Good for him.
And I was on the phone with him driving here. I was like, how's checking in? How's things going on down there? And he's like, everything's good and school's hard. And he's like, I was like, how are the people? It was very different. Very different. He goes, he had Thanksgiving with one of his buddies from up here, who was at UPenn and is now part of the U.S. Navy in Pensacola.
Oh wow!
And he had Thanksgiving with Andrew, and he's like, yeah, it's like they have a hard time. That the people down here have a hard time understanding that we always make fun of each other.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, all right, I can see that. That's just how we interact up here in the Northeast.
That's how you show
so
love.
very, it's frowned upon. They're like, they look at him like, what is wrong with you? Why are you making fun of Tim? Every, third statement out of your mouth.
Oh god,
that's too funny. Yeah,
that's so funny.
I'm sure that was a big. I'm assuming in the business aspect, you're not. It's still more universal talk in business, right? You're not busting each other's balls and stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there was still a lot of that growth of learning the individual areas and kind of the culture. Florida is a very different culture than Oregon. So I'm assuming that was still another growing phase that you had to go through.
Absolutely.
A lesson learned, I should say.
And like even with Florida, it's slower. And when I go down there, it's like you got to pump the brakes a little bit and kind of meet them, because it's you can't. Again, you got to be a chameleon. Mm-hmm. You can't go in with a New York attitude, New Jersey attitude, and into a Florida market and think you're going to accomplish the same things. Mm-hmm. Maybe you're going into a Florida boardroom and there's New York and Jersey people on there, and you got to meet them there. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you gotta be a chameleon in how you approach certain dynamics.
Yeah, no, it is. It reminds me of sales. I'm in sales, and my territory, my manager, he gave me New Jersey and New York, and the reason he gave me it, he's like, you fit the dynamic. Like, you know how to speak to them, cut right to the chase, yada yada. So it's funny. You got to be that chameleon. There's a lot that Attain has gone through, that you've gone through, that you've learned being an entrepreneur. So if there is anyone here, I'm sure there's people listening that aspire to be an entrepreneur that maybe are hearing all this, right? And they do want to do it, but then they're starting to, the mind is starting to move, and they're like, well, how am I going to do this if I want to go overstay? How am I going to do this if I open up? What's the HR? All of that, right? That just comes into your mind. What's your advice to them to quell that and calm that?
Find a mentor.
Find a mentor?
Yeah. Find a mentor that has had some semblance of success, has had failures, right? I think the failures are important.
For sure.
Because if you can find someone that's been there, done it, succeeded and failed, they'll be able to give you both perspectives. But yeah, have coffee talk with someone and go in there with a notepad with a list of questions, and here's what I'm thinking, whether it's in the sector that you're trying to get into or not. And right, find someone that is willing to give you an ear. Right, one of my mentors has been he retired, but he's in the hedge fund space. Mm-hmm. He's 30 years older than me. But what I've learned from him in how to manage high-level meetings, low-level meetings, how to meet someone, how to speak strongly, speak lower, stand tall, right? Sit in a chair, right? Those little things are invaluable, right? The mistakes by pushing the wrong button that costed hundreds of millions of dollars. Attain's not dealing with hundreds of millions of dollars, but still, right? If we push just the wrong way, how that can hurt someone and turn into a lawsuit. Mm-hmm. To answer your question, find a mentor. Now, to spark off that question, what's your advice to maybe someone who is an entrepreneur right now, who has accidentally hit that button that has caused a potential risk or potential failure? What's your advice to them?
That's a good question.
It's a really good question. My advice is, if they've pushed that button and let's say failure is imminent. Recognize when to pull out to mitigate as much damages as possible, right? Don't stay in the game because you don't want to communicate to your network of people that you failed and you're hemorrhaging cash, right? Own it. It's not going to work, right? If failure has happened, right? That button has been pushed and someone is attacking you, right? They're attacking your assets by filing a lawsuit or something like that. You gotta surround yourself with the right team of people to help you navigate those choppy waters. And if your business is sizable, a legal team's going to want to sink their teeth into you just to bill. Billable charges. Don't be short-sighted and recognize when someone's taking advantage of you. And it kind of go back to what I said before. Recognize when to pull out and change teams.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. So it's not the end of the world. There's something light that's going to come out of it if you do it right.
Joe, there's so many avenues with technology today to make a buck. So many. And like I'm on Facebook. I'm not on Instagram. I don't do TikTok and all the other some of the other things that you two are involved in. It's not my strong suit. LinkedIn. If you look at my LinkedIn, I mean, my LinkedIn page was just updated probably when the whole Ernst & Young thing started taking form, because my PR professional and my wife were both up my ass. Like, you got to get your shit together. I'm like, all right, you're both right. I just don't like doing it. And I've always, like, you kind of get my personality and how it's getting put out there, right? I don't fear much. But I've been okay being, like, behind.
Yeah.
From a social media standpoint, I've been okay with that. And it's the opposite of what Gary Vee says, right? But just like you leverage these platforms so you can bolster your brand.
Sure.
But that's never been something that, like, you got your brand to where it is without doing, from my understanding, speaking out of the pocket right now, without having to leverage it.
You're absolutely right.
So it's like, well, I don't need it. I haven't needed it, but that doesn't mean,
where we're headed and to get to what's next and the next levels, I've had to completely reconfigure LinkedIn. And if you look at the amount of traction and profile views and people that are hitting that profile now, I'm like, oh, wow, like there's something to this.
Yeah, for sure.
And, some of the accolades you mentioned, those are all the accolades that the business has accomplished and I've accomplished personally are through grit, dedication, consistency, and empowering people. Plain and simple. So that's my position there.
Love that. So I had some fun questions here that not
Please.
Fun, but I feel like you'd have good answers to this. All right. So we have a time machine. 4th grade you pops up right now. Okay. 2-pronged question. What do you say to him?
Fourth grade Matt. Be careful who you surround yourself with as you get older. Yeah.
Be careful who you surround yourself. All right. Yeah. And now here's the thing. What do you think 4th grade Matt would say to you? Seeing everything.
4th grade Matt would say, you don't know what you're talking about.
Typical kid, right?
They don't know what you're talking about.
I got it all figured out.
Let me go play soccer. Get out of my way.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's a funny one. God. You don't know what you're talking about.
There's, I forget the kid's name, but his social platform, he goes and interviews millionaires and billionaires.
I love this guy. I forgot his name too, but he does.
17 million followers. Yeah, like he's great. And I like his reels or whatever the technical term is that pops up. There's one thing, I forget who he got on the streets of New York, and takes the camera, puts it in the guy's face, and he's like, what would you tell your 17-year-old self? The guy's made a fortune. Takes a breath, and he's like, looks up. He goes, at the end of the day, we all put our pants on in the morning the same way.
That's great.
And that statement has stuck with me. And I probably saw that maybe 6 years ago, but it doesn't matter. We all put our pants on in the morning the same exact way.
It's true.
But if that camera was in front of me, just like you asking that question, it would be careful who you surround yourself with.
Surround myself. Yeah, okay. No, that's good. You need that team. You need that good support system in group. Yeah.
Be what's the word? Not diligent, but purposeful with who it is, And I feel like some people might take that the wrong way, where you almost put, like, if you take that in a disingenuous way, where you put yourself in a position to leverage other people, right? You're not leveraging other people. You're building the network, not, I'm going to align myself with the business owner here and get free stuff and then take their clients. And no, that's not the same thing. You're being the leech now. You want to be the environment, the ecosystem.
Another exercise I tell a lot of the younger kids that I speak in front of is, in my days, we had a Rolodex. You guys may know what that is. Your dad knows what that is. In our phones now, it's called a contact list. So I take the phone out and I pick someone random in the class, and Jenny, pull out your phone, your iPhone, hit contact list, scroll to the bottom. What does it say? 202. I'm like, great. What does mine say? 1,956 contacts. And she's like, wow. I'm like, all right. And I go back to the front of the room and I say, that's 1,926 quality contacts that I never know when I may need to leverage or call upon. Right? So I urge all of you, I said this to the class, comb through your contact list and get rid of the crap that's holding you back. Right? If you go from 202 down to 140, you've gotten rid of 62 people. If the math is right, hopefully.
Yeah, it is.
You're now that much stronger with the people that you're connected to. Get rid of the crap that's weighing you down. And like, I'll usually purge my, like, at the turn of the new year, I'll comb through, or when I'm on flights, I'll take the phone and I'll comb through contact lists and get rid of crap.
I do that with pictures. I need to start doing the contacts.
Yeah. I'm actually going to do that when I go home.
But you'd be surprised, right? If you go through that contact list, you're like, wow, yeah, I remember her. I remember him, or it was an old girlfriend. Like, you start purging that garbage.
Yeah.
And you start leveraging the quality that's in that piece of technology, you're going to see how things start to materialize.
Yeah.
There's people that I've met that I haven't talked to in probably 5-6 years, maybe have come up a few months back that, you know what, I needed to make a phone call, and they're there to pick up. But that exercise is something that I always bring up.
Love that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Perfect. Do you have any other questions?
No.
We always like to leave, right, with like a lesson, right? We like to, you've given
final
a lot
comments,
of lessons, final comments.
Yeah.
But before we get to that, I'm going to put all of your website, the Attain Instagram in the show notes. But where can people find you that need help or maybe want a job, or, how do they get to you?
Email me is the easiest.
Email? Okay.
Matthew, MATTHEW, at attain-pt.com. That's the easiest way. And I tell people, like, listen, if you reach out and I don't get back to you, keep coming after me.
Okay.
I'll get back.
Yeah, you're busy.
but keep coming after me.
Okay. I love that. Final words, man. You've given a lot here, a lot of golden nuggets based off of your experience, authentic. If you had to summarize it, what would your last thoughts be? Final thoughts.
I'll start with one of the Rocky lines, right? And Stallone I think it was in Rocky Balboa, says, like, the world's not all sunshine and rainbows. But I would add to that, the world's not all sunshine and rainbows, but if you stay committed and determined, good things will come.
I love that.
Yeah.
Right? Good things will come. So I'm a huge Stallone fan. Someday I hope to meet that man. So if this thing goes viral and he sees it, hopefully he emails me. His team emails me.
I'm gonna tag him. I'm gonna make a clip of this.
Let's see. Make a clip. I was close once.
Yeah,
I was close once, but it did not come to fruition.
We'll keep putting it out there.
I'm
keep driving towards that.
I'm gonna put this in the ether.
He's in Florida now.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, the whole family's in Florida.
Really?
Yeah. Then he moved out of Cali.
Yeah.
You got to check his Netflix documentary. It's good.
Okay, I gotta hit that. I gotta hit that up.
But that would be my closeout. What I just gave you.
Nice. All right. Perfect. Love that, man.
Awesome.
I appreciate you coming on, man.
Thanks for reaching out.
My pleasure. Our pleasure. This was a lot of fun. We learned a lot, and it's just good to reconnect again, man. It's almost like you said, it's 4 years ago, but it's almost like I know every day.
Those quality connections with people, man. It's timeless. It's timeless.
Love that. Folks, you heard it here, episode 206. Dr. Matthew Cifelli, a.k.a. Matt. Reach out to him. We'll put everything in the show notes for you guys. A lot of nuggets here. Watch this, listen this, rewatch this, re-listen to this, and then rewatch and then re-listen to this again. And I'm sort of saying that so our numbers boost up, but you know what I mean. A lot of golden nuggets. We love you guys. Thank you, Matt, for coming on. Episode 206. We'll see you next week.